Welcome to Sandbox Sessions.
Wow.
Brought to you by Recess Fitness Club. I'm Taylor Metzger, the co-founder of Recess Fitness Club.
I'm Rachel Fisher. I'm all things operation, risk management, and damage control.
And I'm Evan Duncan, co-founder.
During this podcast, we're going to be talking about how we got to Recess. We'll talk a little bit about ourselves and how we got here, the challenges we faced along the way, the positives, when we found out that it was finally all going to actually come together and work and we could breathe.
Yeah, what it's like starting something from nothing, especially during COVID, in 2020 when everything was still up in the air, and how it's grown into what it has now, and, what Recess represents as a whole.
So much of this was before my time, so I'm actually excited to hear the nitty-gritty details.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
It'll be fun.
Evan, take it away. Tell us about you.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go up until we met. I spent some time in the Marine Corps. I was a martial arts fitness instructor in the Marine Corps, among other things. Deployed to Iraq in 2008, Africa 2012, got in 2005. I always knew I wanted to be my own boss. Thought I wanted to open a bar or a high-performance car shop, and then quickly realized that I didn't want to do either one of those things. That those are horrible businesses to be in.
Yeah.
I got out of the Marine Corps at the end of 2012, and I knew I wanted to work for myself. I just didn't know what. And my girlfriend was like, "You like training people, why don't you be a personal trainer?" And I had 40 grand in the bank. I never thought I would make a business out of training. And so I kind of always had one foot in the door, one foot out the door. And by the end of year one, I had negative $800 in my bank account. But anyway, grew small team, came into Old Diesel in the Centrum building. And that was where I met Taylor.
That's where we met, and there at Diesel, we were training, and then along the way, people would call "Hey, do you know how to box?" I didn't know how to box. I'd find a trainer that could box, or, "Hey, are you good at mobility and rehab work?" And I wasn't, so I found a trainer that was good at that, and built a team of trainers that were all really good at areas that I wasn't, because I knew I couldn't continue to grow on my own. There was a point where I needed others, and I saw Evan doing his thing. The gym we were in at the time was great, actually. At the Diesel Fitness over at Cedar Springs in Oakland in the Central building. It was big, had a basketball court, which, whatever, I didn't really care so much about, but it was just a really nicely laid out gym.
Yeah.
And then it changed over to Uptown, and we both shared a lot of frustrations with the environment that we were in, because we were both so obsessive about our own businesses and making them better. And how do we continue? We had no control over the gyms that we were in. I know Evan had started to put a lot of work into his concept at the time, City Gym. And I remember seeing on Facebook this rendering that he had popped up. "Yeah, man, have you seen what Evan's done with City Gym?" I saw this rendering. I was like, good grief. He was you were so far beyond anything that I had done in terms of the steps of going through a gym. Talk about that.
City Gym. I thought gyms were stagnant, stale, hadn't changed in 30 or 40 years. We're all based around this, it was either a low price, $29, $39, or it was, Equinox, who was this high price, out of range. And there was nothing in the middle, and there was nothing that looked good and felt good and had a great environment. And so I spent 4 years pitching to investors. I would cold call random people and get lunches with them.
You met with some influential people.
Yeah.
Big names, yeah.
Yeah. Some big real estate guys, some founders of different gym brands like Crunch Fitness, and everything happens as it should. Firm believer in that. It got really hard to accept that, because it seemed like the perfect time and the perfect idea, and that if I didn't do it, somebody else was going to do it, and I wanted to be first. It wouldn't be the same if someone came in with this and tried to disrupt how the gym industry was looking and feeling and operating it got to a point after 4 years where I got real low down on myself, thinking what a waste. I had probably put $30,000 of my own money in it, getting a logo, getting term sheets, doing all these things, spent thousands of hours. And prior to me having a Mac, I would be on a PC, and I'd write this business plan, and I'd spend 8 hours on it, and then the PC would skits out and it would erase everything. And I did that twice one time, and it brought me almost to tears. It was such a time. But thank God I did not get the money when I thought it was a good time to get the money, because COVID hit, and who knows what would have happened. Probably would have lost everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people did.
And that's really, after sitting down and talking with Evan throughout the years, he became friends, and hearing the stuff that he had done, and sharing the same vision of both wanting the same thing. COVID was really as difficult of a time as it was for everyone. It was a catalyst for so much change. I heard gyms were shutting down. I thought, what am I gonna do? And my mind went to like survival mode. I was at REI or Academy buying a bicycle because I thought, when people freak out, it's going to get gridlocked, and I can drive my car to a certain point, and then I'll take my bike and all my MREs in my backpack, and I can just ride to like my family's land in the country. Mm-hmm. Right. Evan called me, and he was like, Taylor, the show's got to go on. We got to keep training. So fortunately, I had this great person in my life that could offer this idea of helping our clients out through that time, and using my backyard to do it, and my carport. And we had a decent setup at the time to begin. I remember it was the first day or two from COVID, the gym shut down, and we had a few dumbbells and stuff as a collective that you and I had.
I mean, there was no notice, I got inside scoop like at 6 p.m. that at midnight or whatever, everything was going to shut down. And so it was literally, we took everything that we owned in the current gym, or at least space out of, which wasn't a lot,
right,
and brought it to your backyard. And
And we had a friend of mine, dear friend, that is part of the Recess brand now, was really supportive of us. He provided a squat rack. Mm-hmm. We had another guy that came in and a bench and benches.
Shouts out Ian.
Shouts out Ian. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we had, before we knew it, we set up a tent because MJ needed an area to stretch people. So then we created a huge deck and a big like 10 by 20 wedding tent where we had like a functional area for stretching. We had a massage table in there. We got an Airstream trailer, and the chickens in the backyard was a great addition. Everyone was freaked out about cleanliness.
So at this point, you guys both had trainers under you, correct?
Yeah. Right.
So you guys were all trying to facilitate all your clients in the same space?
And we did it. Yeah, we did.
We had 2 banners in the backyard.
It was Tough Fitness and Butchered Bodies. We had a sink set up. I mean, I remember we all got together. All the trainers got together. We had little weekly meetings. Like, people are freaking out about cleanliness and staying safe. And what can we do, at least outdoors, to provide that kind of environment? So we had our spray bottles. We had paper towels. We hooked up our hose to a sink that we made in a bucket, on like our pipes that we still use here for some of our decorative stuff at the gym, to like get your paper towels. So it was
fans. We had like misters, speakers, the hand wash station we built, Lysol wipes. But that was also where like culture started to be born, because we didn't want it to be some breeding ground for COVID, and nobody knew anything about COVID at the time, and everybody, like you said, was freaked out. So we, like, if you didn't wipe something down after you got done training on it, you got a warning or whatever, and then it'd be a $50 fine. And so it was like everyone got on the same page quick about like, hey, if we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it on the low down where we got to park down the street and like walk in the back out to come get here, because everybody's making such a big deal out of stuff. We got to do it right.
That was gonna be my next question. Was like, how are the neighbors during all that?
Fine. I mean, I guess they were conditioned with like at one point I had some roosters back there I shouldn't have had, but I didn't know I had roosters at the time, and they would cock-a-doodle-doo, and it was loud. So I think the name, like, I'd thrown some pretty good parties, so I think the neighbors were tolerant, and it wasn't bothering anybody, and it was all about being better people. So I don't think anyone had a problem with like, they're working out in the backyard. So it was cool. And I remember there'd be mornings at 5 or 6 a.m. where I was asleep and I'd like hear someone coming in to train.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, I loved it. And fortunately too, that summer was pretty cool outside. It wasn't, in comparison to the summers we've had since, I was like, somehow, the weather gods have blessed us with like nothing over 100 almost that whole summer. People were so impressed or happy with what Evan and I had done back there. A lot of them didn't want to go back to the gym.
Yeah.
They were kind of like, you guys, the writing is on the wall. and you need to start something. And
Chicken Fit, aka like the backyard gym. That was the beginning of Taylor and Evan creating something, and it was so good, like you said, that nobody wanted to go back to the gym.
Right.
And so it was like, man, if we can do this out of a backyard, like, what do you think we could do out of a space, a proper space?
So what was the time frame between you guys deciding that and then?
So
Bring this
right,
up.
yeah, that was like February, March, everything got shut down, and it was more towards the end of the summer, where it was kind of like they worked congruently, where we were looking for spaces, still training people. The first space, we spent the better part of the summer negotiating, and it fell apart pretty quick.
When you started finding spaces and you were like, hey, bro, like, look what we did here, and like, I know we have similar ideas, let's get in together. I did not want a partner
Yeah.
at all.
I remember.
And I was like, I've done all this work. I have my idea I want. And side note, fast forward, I could have never, ever, ever done this alone,
Likewise.
without you.
Likewise.
Holy cow. It was silly to even think of like how naive I was then, but
We were all hanging out one night, I remember too, it was late, and someone was like, hey, if Evan died, what would you say at his funeral? And it was easy for me. I didn't have to think about it. It was you're the part of me that I'm missing. And I think that's why, as a team, you and I, and now Rachel, we're all able to work together so well, because of our strengths and weaknesses. And a concern of yours you had at the beginning are we going to work together? Because we do have a lot of things that we share in common.
Yeah.
And where we going to bump heads.
Yeah, I was like, were we going to complement one another well enough, given that we have the similar skill sets coming into this thing?
Right.
And so one thing I like, we took personality tests together, and then we wrote down strengths, weaknesses, what we thought we were bringing to the company. And then we actually like had meetings together, remember? And went over this. And
What was the moment that you decided you might want to actually have a business partner?
it was probably like when I saw how persistent Taylor was. The original idea was that we would start this smaller space, and I was going to be paying exactly what I was paying now, but we're going to have our own space. We got to go out and do, create something unique and different. And so it was like, okay, like, I'm not really having to take on a partner. We're just like getting this space together. And then it didn't work out, which thank goodness, because like so it was somewhere along the way there. It was like we looked at another space. The space was 7,000 square feet, and that was really where Recess was born. And then, after a while, we were just like, we found ourselves, and actually there was another space that was 4,000 square feet. Remember? By downtown, like near
Yeah.
Yeah. And that place is really cool. And like we really almost we spent a lot of time out there.
Then we wound up in Design District, and spent a lot of time there. And all this was still 2020. I mean, we spent so much time doing this.
Got real close to signing a lease.
And,
3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and then we couldn't work. That deal was fell apart because of like HVAC things that we couldn't get together with the landlord and running the ductwork to the offices that we needed.
Yeah. Side note, we didn't have any money.
We didn't have any money.
Well, you mentioned one of those spaces being where Recess was born. So where/when was Recess born? Like the idea, the name, the partnership, all of it.
Yeah.
Being in the backyard and these people together. What is it about as adults that like we stop doing? And why are adults, why is obesity and diabetes, why is it such a problem? Like what's the thing as kids where we didn't have this problem, where we enjoyed doing something every day? And it dawned on me, Recess, and it was in a moment I knew everyone could think of Recess as a time that they got to hang out with their friends, sweat, and not even think about what they were doing. They were just hanging out, and they looked forward to it. It wasn't something they had to do. It was something that they got to do. And so I mentioned it to Evan, and he was like, amazing. And then it was like, okay, what are we going to do for a logo? And that was the next. It was just, we were always churning and trying to it was the next, what was the constant project. And then there was the money thing where it was like, we don't have money. We just knew how bad we wanted to make this work, and we were going to make it work. That time also, COVID loans were pretty easy to get. You could go onto a website and slide a bar, this idle loans, and you could have it down at 3,000, or you could slide that thing all the way up to 97.9. And I slid that thing all the way up, and we got almost $100,000, like in 72 hours. And Evan had money that he had worked on with, I had
EIDL also.
An idle also.
Yeah.
And then we knew like we're going to be able to make it work. Even with that, I mean, you think like you guys started in gym with like, yeah, we did with almost nothing. The building we were sitting in, I would go downstairs, and when I was doing Butchered Bodies, and I would always visit Total Nutrition, and I would talk to Catherine, the owner down there. She said, there's this space up there at 24 Hour Fitness, they're gone. And I'm like, oh, that is huge. It just wasn't even palatable. She's like, yeah, they'll demise the space, but at the time the building did not look good. So I remember went to Evan, I'm like, okay, like they'll demise this space. I think we should look at it.
Taylor was persistent, and we came golden hour to meet the landlord.
Which is when the sun is setting, to be, for anyone that wonders what that is.
Yeah, we came during golden hour, and the west side of the building is the longest side. It's all floor-to-ceiling windows. And we, the sun hit just right, and we're sitting there, and it's way too expensive for us. We had, there's no way we were going to be able to do it. But Taylor and I, went off to the side, and we're like, I really like this space.
We're going to do it. And I can remember where we were standing when things got real. Top of the third floor. We had just done a deal on a handshake. It was going to cost $50,000 as a deposit, which was a huge chunk of our money. And that's when all the stress began. And I remember thinking, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be homeless, living with my parents.
We're definitely all in. And we had that talk where we looked at each other, and we're like, if this doesn't work out, we're going to be on the streets. We're like, yep. Mm-hmm. And it was for real, because we had every cent of everything into it. I mean, I always had a very hard time asking for things from people, I've been self-sufficient, since I was young. And so the idea of calling my mom and being like, hey, that college fund you set aside for me, and I didn't go to college, or, could I get that, and I was like, she turned in some bonds, and I got money from that. And then I knew my grandpa had paid for my cousin's down payment on their house or something towards it, or, when they got married, he gave him some cash towards a down payment. And I was like, hey, I call my grandpa and I go, I'm all in on this thing. If it works out, I'm not going to have to worry about a down payment on a house, I'll be okay. And I was like, and if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to have to worry about a down payment on a house, because I'm going to be homeless. Yeah. So can I get that money that you were going to potentially give me? Mm-hmm. And he did. Shouts out grandpa. And then, when we met with the landlord that time, we were like, hey, we like this space. And he goes, well, if you like it, y'all are going to have to sign a lease, in the next few days.
That's right.
And he goes, because someone else is looking at it. They already have a gym. They already have 1,100 members or something. And, he's more experienced than you guys. And, but I like you guys. For some reason, we had no clout to us. We'd been running personal training companies, leasing space out of, we had our offices, and we were big time personal trainers, but we had no business signing a 10-year lease on a space that big.
No.
And then 4 days later, we signed a 10-year lease, and we were jumping off a cliff, bro. And
we literally were. And I remember thinking, what can we do with the amount of money we have left to make this work? And we thought, well, that's paint and lighting is huge. Paint and lighting are tremendous. You can transform the way a place looks on paint and lighting. And in comparison to other finishes like flooring, it was cheaper. We didn't know exactly, though, beyond the paint and lighting, how we were going to achieve the things that we needed to. So I knew of some, what I considered big general contractors in Dallas that had done some really great restaurants. They had brick and mortar space as contractors for their offices, which was enough of an indicator to me that large of a contractor could probably help in some regards facilitate the rest of what we need here and float it for us. So that's essentially what we proposed to this one contractor in particular.
You proposed, because
yeah,
I thought you were nuts.
You did think I was nuts.
Even asking.
Yeah.
I didn't think people did.
Yeah, you're like, that's not going to happen. So we had him over, we introduced ourselves to him and said, this is what we want to do. There's an idea of the brand, the concept, and here's our long-term goal. This isn't going to be just a one gym thing. We think our ideas are so good and people are going to bite down on this concept and this brand that it's going to be something that we can scale in the future. And we'd like you to be a part of that in exchange for helping us finance this project. And he obliged. We had a lot of
leading us three times.
He
obliged, which is crazy.
He came up with a deal that we all thought was fair and went forward from there. And that was a really stressful time. It was January. We had just signed the lease December 21st, 2020.
2020.
People thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
That you're
still
gonna,
up in the air.
Because people thought you're going to open a gym during COVID. That's great. And everyone was going to work out at home on their Pelotons. And I thought, no, that's actually
I skipped right over that. We signed a lease December 2020, and things were still totally up in the air at that point. Yeah.
We had also one thing that kind of gave us, we found some solace in, is Evan and I, from all the guys that we had trained with in the past, we thought we were going to have something that we would draft up, super informal, but to get a commitment, people that were going to come over here with their clients, other independent trainers in the city that shared the same like frustrations that we did with independent gyms in Dallas, and be a part of what Evan and I wanted us to do. And it was a good amount. I mean,
we had 18 signed contracts
from those trainers, and with all those 18, their clients. So we felt like we had a pretty good safety net.
We thought we were going to open the door with like 178 members just from the trainers. That we had 18 signed contracts. We thought 13 would move over, and these guys were our friends, and not a single person moved over. After we opened the gym, not one of them,
which was shocking to me. I was so
it was the only
surprised
safety net that we had,
and it was gone. So the stress was high. We knew we needed to get our doors open. It was April. Wasn't it? It was what we were shooting for.
March was our soft opening. March 15th.
Mm-hmm.
The gym was still under construction. And everything was late.
Everything was late because you couldn't get a permit from the city of Dallas. Your certificate of occupancy is what we needed, because we didn't need permits to do any of the stuff we were doing. We were tearing down walls,
no change
plumbing lines. It was all cosmetic. And then we were facing a serious timeline. Are we going to be able to get our certificate of occupancy by the time we're ready to open? We had our grand opening party scheduled, and nothing, barely pulled it off. And I think we got a stall up around.
We put one stall on each.
Close.
We were doing that with 30 minutes. People were showing up, and we were building stalls.
At the time we found a guy, because we were fortunate enough to inherit all the equipment here.
Yeah.
But we couldn't use all the equipment. Some of it didn't function great. Some of it didn't look great. We were able to keep the best batch of treadmills that we could salvage, and Stairmasters at the time. No, we got rid of all the Stairmasters. They were terrible.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And we found someone that had come in and said, I can paint this equipment.
Taylor.
He was going to paint the equipment and rebuild it for a insanely good price. So we took him up on it, but he kind of was slow on some timelines as well. We had that circus tent in the back of the gym. I don't know if you recall that. It was a red and white circus tent. It was so terrible looking, but he would go inside the circus tent and paint we would roll out the next piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And we knew we want to get.
Kind of sad I missed that.
Yeah, it was it was a circus. I mean,
it was
and we had our, that was our really low entry to the gym, $59 for an annual. Maybe it's cheap. No, that was it. Then $79 month to month. which we thought was a steal. And those are now our OGs. So if you're multi-person trained, you still get that super hooked up rate.
Yeah.
And then we managed to get it open. The challenges that we had along the way, we weren't even open that long, and there was lawsuits between us and the contractor.
Got a call from the landlord one day, and he's like, this company's filed a lien on the property, and he was like, this is in violation of your lease. And he's like, you need to figure this out like today, right now.
We were backed into a corner. Literally had no choice but to sue him, because we had paid his big deposit on the project. And
I mean, it was a plumber, and turns out the GC was like hiring him on for more than what we had agreed to, and we got this outrageous bill. And so we called him, we recorded the phone call, and we were like, hey, who gave you the okay to like do these things? Because we don't have a contract with you. Like, who was it? And I was like, was that Jim? I'm sorry. Can we cut that out? Yeah. Bleep. And he was like, yeah. And so we're like, okay, just wanted to get that clear. Like, so, it wasn't us that you had this contract. It was this person hiring you. And he said, yeah. I think after that phone call, he realized what he had said and potentially knew that maybe we were recording. And thank goodness, we never heard back from him again.
The lien was pulled off.
The lien was pulled off. But we still sued
we still had to.
And come to find out, our general contractor had been involved in close to 24 lawsuits in the last 2 years. And a simple Google search, would have showed us that lesson learned number 5,000.
Do your homework. And then, fast forward to the end of that story, we had to do a settlement with the bank who took over the individual's assets. And unfortunately, earlier this year, he was found dead, floating in the Houston Bay.
Yeah.
For tons of,
Doesn't even sound like a real story.
I know. Oh my goodness. We opened, had a grand opening party, and
we had a llama.
The llama was awesome.
Decked out.
And that's when the recess party is for.
That's when you knew we set the bar really high. Like, this is how recess throws parties.
Yeah.
So everyone that's a member here, it's not just about how much the gym is. It is like,
no,
you're getting to be a part of something incredible.
Yeah.
And the parties are a big thanks to everyone being here. And our next big challenge was August, because I was out of the hospital by then. I remember I spent the 4th of July in the hospital. That was the first month our rent was due.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I remember you talking to a client of yours. He came into the bathroom one day.
Yeah. Shouts out Rebecca.
Rebecca saved us.
Feeling my heart one day, training her, and I'm like, oh, we need $50,000 by Friday. I don't know what we're going to do. And I'm just like spilling my heart. And we get done training, and I'm walking her out, and she goes, what'd you say you guys needed to like make it? And I was like, $50,000 will keep us alive. And she's like, consider it done.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh? And she's like, let's just say I got the money, and I don't have anything to spend it on, and I believe in you guys, and I believe in what you're doing, and I want to see you make your dreams come to fruition. And she's like, we'll work it out, the payback. You can just train me. And I was like, I am not training you for $50,000. I was like, I will be training you until I'm 80. And I was like, I will pay you back. We will pay you back.
So we did.
And with interest. And I was like, how about, 10% in 18 months. And so she made like a good chunk of change. We never missed a payment, but like, that will forever be like just one of those. I came into the bathroom and told Taylor, and I was just like, it was one of those moments, because we had our back against the wall, and it was like, it seemed impossible. We had already taxed out everything, and like, we don't have this Rolodex full of like rich friends,
Yep.
I remember hearing this story because I think she'd come in. You introduced me to her, and you're basically like, this is why we're all standing here right now.
Yeah.
Is because of this lady right here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was huge. And then it wasn't too long until And there we were again, finding ourselves in a position where we need more money.
Yeah.
And a client of mine did the same thing in almost the same fashion. And we repaid both of them with
Shout out
Baxter Hines, thank you. And we repaid both of them right on time.
Yeah.
And Recess, we could see after that was going to be a success. People were catching on. People were starting to come in and talk about it. And I remember hearing at one point, I knew this is going to work when I heard a guy walk in on his phone. He was talking to his friend. He's like, hey man, I just got to Recess. I'm at Recess. The person on the other end of that line knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And that's incredible.
Yeah.
They knew he was at a gym. And that for me was huge.
Yeah.
Really huge.
That was such a cool time, man, starting something from nothing and like such an amazing brand name. And so like, you know, it's just so hard to believe where it's at now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I fucking love you to death,
So,
Rachel. Like, I can't even,
Without you. Touch on that. I remember
Yeah.
when you came into the gym, and the reason why, it was because of the booty builder.
A gluteator.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
The gluteator. And that was a tremendous piece of equipment because we knew if we have we need glute focused equipment in our gym. Most gyms are so they don't have enough glute equipment. And there's not enough women in gyms.
Well, I had been training down at Willow Bend but living downtown. And I was like, I really need to find like a true training gym, you know? And so I did a product search because there was a gluteator at my old gym. And I was like, wherever I go, has got to have one. So I went on their website and they had a product search and you guys came up. Sure enough, came up here, brought my boyfriend with me and we pulled in and he was like, this is where the old 24 is. Like, I used to puke at this squat rack right here every week. Like, this is like such a weird deja vu moment for me. Right. And then I don't even think I tried any gyms after that. And then probably within 3 months, we'd become training partners.
Yeah, I remember that. And because you were on the floor and you were doing a rear delt thing on the rear delt fly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I always activate my traps on this. And you were like, why don't you try leaning forward diagonally so your xiphoid process is positioned at the top of the bench and externally rotate your elbow joint and drop your lats. I'm like, what? And I did it. I'm like, it's working. And I was like, dude, she's special. Like, this is the way you're able to articulate all that and coach me through it and then apply it. After all the years I had been training, I thought this is, I really hope she'll come work here, but you're at 45.
Well, I had just made a really scary kind of career switch from teaching, resigned during COVID. And during one of those summers off as a teacher, I had gotten my personal training cert. And then the next summer I had done my nutrition and I was like, man, I'm really into this. And, when I quit teaching and then I started coaching at 45 and I was doing real estate, I was bartending, I was kind of doing all the things to try to make it all work. And I knew that I liked kind of, the admin side of teaching. And I liked, the social aspect of coaching and being in the fitness world. And so I think Recess just happened at a really good time for me and a really kind of transitional time for me anyway. And I'd been doing that for a year and a half, I think, by the time you guys had successfully poached me. But without my time there, I would have been, I'm not going to say useless, but I would have been a lot less helpful, with things like the studio and group fitness and things like that, had I not had that experience. So, it's kind of going back to what Evan said earlier, just kind of everything, I think, kind of happens and it lays out the way, it's supposed to happen. And yeah.
Yeah, I remember, asking can you please work here? He was like, I think you're going to be really great. And you're like, man, I'm at 45 and you were, what was it? You were a part of the top 5% performing.
Yeah, one of the studios was top 3% worldwide. But I had just gotten salary and I had just gotten benefits. And I was like, as a trainer, how long it takes for something like that to happen. Yeah. As much as I'd love to come over here, I'm not losing out on that. And you're like, I totally get it. I totally get it. And then within a couple of months, you were like, will you just come in and have the conversation? Right. Will you just come and chat about it? And I'm one of those people that I think it's always good to interview. Mm-hmm. I think it keeps your skills sharp. I think it you never know what opportunities are going to be out there. So I was like, whatever. And then I think we had 3 interviews, most of which was me interviewing you guys. at the time, because I'm the first ever employee of Recess.
Right.
So I think that was like all, pretty like unprecedented and scary for you guys to bring on an employee, someone that was like W-2 and like benefits and salary. And that was all like, you're like, we had paper sign up for your own shift at the front desk, like before you got here. Like that was like a big jump. So
we would not be where we are today without you. Down here, it's been tremendous help. Good grief. And we knew I remember we were like, we got to have a female manager. It's just, I do not want a male manager. There's too many men in gyms. And then finally, when we could afford you, I was so happy that worked out. There's a lot that I've learned from the time we've opened the doors to today, and I'm still learning every day. Scared money, dead mate money, you hear in the songs now. I think traits for entrepreneurs is risk. You got to be willing to take risk. Granted, I'm someone that will not gamble in a casino because I think the odds are always on the house, and those aren't that good odds. Creativity and the things that and staying humble. There's still so much I feel like I have to learn, and still so much that I don't know, despite all the things I have learned. Taking customer feedback and the constructive criticisms is difficult for me. I think it might always be difficult for me because I take things so personally, and I try not to do that. But when you're so passionate about a business and everything you put into it, and despite your best efforts, it's like you still can't make everyone happy. That still means that I won't ever stop trying. That's part of what makes us who we are.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what people love about Recess. They're constantly saying, there's always something new going on. There's always something being improved upon. That's something I love about this space. I think you've proven that's always who you're going to be. That's part of who Recess is.
Mm-hmm.
What's next for Recess? Where are we going? What are we doing?
Yeah, well, we're not done.
No. Classic entrepreneurial problem. Scaling.
We'll see if we got lucky or not. Mm-hmm. We'd like to open a number of other gyms. I don't know if I want to get into like where right now. We've got some ideas, but like everything in business, we run into hurdles, and we certainly thought we'd have a second location open by now, but everything will happen as it's supposed to.
It will, and those are still challenges. There's always challenges.
Yeah.
And just, I would touch on one challenge real quick. I remember when I thought like we were open, we were great. It was 2 years in, and then John Reed opened, and I was like, we were at the top of one mountain just to be right back down at the bottom of another. But thank you, competitors, because it lit such a fire under my ass.
Yeah.
And it's still burning, and I am excited to push ahead and do more locations.
Yeah.
The people want it.
And back to, you just reminded me of a lesson. This is probably like one of the biggest and earliest lessons I ever learned in business. And that was that naturally business ebbs and flows, right? And you can't get emotionally attached to how your business is doing. Like no matter what, you're gonna have a valley, right? You're gonna have peaks and valleys, and like, don't get too comfortable when things are going great. Do not get stuck in a rut when things are going bad. The only way out of that is to get out of the rut, period. You'll never, no fairy's gonna come over and sprinkle some magic dust on you when you're in a rut and get you out of it and make you start doing the things you need to do and change your mindset other than you. And until you do, you're never going to get out of that. So just know that, like, for anybody who's not already in business and doesn't already learn that lesson, is that that's how business goes, and you got to expect it, and you got to go with the flow, and you got to, move forward. What's next all the time.
Roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches.
Which we still roll with punches every day.
Shitty things are going to happen. They still do every single day. If anything, we've just gotten better at
dealing,
managing it and not getting so affected by
Thank you, Rachel.
And we have Rich.
I was like, that's my specialty.
And so speaking of rolling with the punches, we're going to read some reviews. So Kimber has given us, this is a negative review. I've never seen it. I'm going to read it here. Hey guys, I signed up and have been in only once. Way too much construction, and the music genre that I find is disruptive. It's not for me. It would be a great practice, in my opinion, for you to cancel the membership. It seemed odd that there was no guest pass. Anyway, you be you, but I'm not gonna be working out there. Thanks for the consideration. I'm hoping one membership isn't keeping y'all afloat. Best wishes.
Yeah, that was a 1-star review.
That was a 1-star review. P.S. A reply would be greatly appreciated.
There's a lot going on there.
Wow. Well, the music, that's one thing I said earlier. It would be a fool's energy to try to think that you can play, even when we play a mix of genres, we got some rap, we got some rock, we got some EDM, and that's the best we can do, because we're not going to play country, which is still great, but it has no place in a gym.
Yeah.
What is anything else I can touch on here? We do offer guest
Well,
passes.
the construction, that's
We
part of the course with all the improvements.
Yeah.
You're going to have some.
And it's part of our thing on the website. We're a place that we promise to constantly improve. So you get to see the way all of y'all are in here constantly improving yourselves, working out, making yourselves better. That's what we're doing here at the gym. And I think a lot of people like that, sir.
Okay, and I got a positive review, I guess. I have lived in 8 states in the U.S., been members at several clubs, and I currently run 2 country clubs. I can tell you without a doubt this is the best gym in Dallas. Best staff, members, and equipment. Best pricing structure as well. I've been a member for almost 2 years now. I gave feedback on how to improve the gym in a perfect world, but I love Recess, the family of people I have met, and this gym. Thank you so much for making this a wonderful place to better ourselves and meet new people. Thank you as well. I don't have your name here.
That's really great.
That's and coming from someone who owns a couple country clubs, and and to hit on the staff, the members, and the equipment, that's big. One, we have a wonderful staff here, and due in part to when it was Taylor and I at the front desk every time, those early members, we went through every single detail of the structure of Reset, the community that we were. At first, it was what we're trying to create. Then it was what we've created and trying to maintain. And everyone got, we've gotten rid of bad apples. And so I think naturally, and of course, Rachel, you have so much to do with our staff now, but everyone gets to come in and they already understand the idea behind the culture. And so it's one, it attracts a certain kind of person. 2, you're just fueled to contribute and maintain what you already witnessed. It's I used to tell people, it's kind of gym where it feels weird to leave your stuff out or make a mess because nobody else is doing it,
And that's what we tell them when they sign up. Go over the Cliff Notes. There's a $50 fine if you don't put your weights up.
Yeah.
And a lot of people respond to that in such a great way. Really, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then yes, this is where you're supposed to be. Welcome.
I had no idea that those fines were born at Chicken Fit. I learned that today.
It's not about the money.
It's not about the money at all. Yeah. It's about just the principle. Same thing with the tripod. We've touched on that before.
We've also found we've had members who we've witnessed wiping down the sink after they wash their hands and going above and beyond and giving them a free month on the spot for following the culture. So it's certainly not about money. It's about
I'm glad you added that.
It's all for a purpose, and everybody benefits whenever everyone's on the same page and a common place. It becomes something really special, which it has.
Absolutely.
And that concludes our first podcast. If you made it this far, thank you so much for bearing with us as we kind of work through our kinks and figure out our stride. There will be more to come, so please follow our Instagram, like and subscribe, all those good things to just stay tuned for future episodes.